It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step two, step two, step two. Listen, this is Love in Verses. I'm so glad to be back with you live and direct here on the set at New Direction Church. Listen, I want you to know that I have enjoyed, and I hope you've enjoyed, the past 2 weeks where we have been sharing throwback footage of one of our messages that related to Love in Verses. And I hope that it's blessed you if you're single, if you're married, whatever the case may be. And we took a break from Ruth just for 2 weeks to kind of give you some vintage footage of that. So I hope it's blessed you like it's blessed me. And it's always some humorous moments in there. Listen, today we're going to pick back up with Ruth, because I know that some of you all are waiting with bated breath and anticipation to kind of hear how the story ends and to get more familiar about the different angles and twists in Ruth. But before I begin, I want to encourage you, if you have not already purchased my book, Love in Verses, to make sure you do that. It is wherever books are sold. And also, it's on my website, Kenny Sullivan Jr. Make sure you go by there and get your copy and buy one for someone else. It'd be a great gift for them. Father's Day is coming up. Bless a father with this awesome book. All right, so the last time we looked at Ruth, we studied how Ruth in chapter 1 and chapter 2, her and Naomi, her mother-in-law, both come back to Bethlehem during barley harvest. Now remember that Ruth is of Moabitess descent. So she is a Gentile, what we refer to as a Gentile. Anybody who's not a Jew, by the way, is a Gentile. You are a Gentile if you're not Jewish. So when they come back, it's a festive occasion. All these great things are happening. Barley harvest is a time where people will celebrate. And Naomi is bitter at a bad time. We talked about how Naomi had this bitter baggage she had been carrying because she came out of one bad season, and because that bad season had been so bad and bitter, it left a bitter taste on her tongue. Even when she spoke, that bitter taste was there. She renames herself Mara. She says, don't call me bitter, don't call me Naomi, call me Mara, because the Lord has dealt unkindly with me. But what she didn't realize was that her best days were ahead of her. God was going to use her differently in this new season of her life, because now she was going to be the central figure who mentored and coached Ruth in securing the hand of Boaz. And I say that because it's interesting how Ruth and Boaz meet. She bumps into Boaz when she is gathering or gleaning grain. It was a welfare to work kind of a program. So what God had instituted in the book of Leviticus was that when the children of Israel came into their land, they were to leave certain portions, the edges of their fields. They were to leave them ungleaned, so to speak, so that the poor and the widows could come by and they could glean grain and they could eat. So it was a welfare to work type of a program. So here's a woman who is at the bottom of the social totem pole, but because she has just made a decision to follow God, God begins to open up doors. I want to stop right there, because somebody needs to know who is on the rebound or who is trying to bounce back in life. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, all of his righteousness, then all of these things will be added. A lot of people search after riches, they search for relationships, they look for all of those things. Somebody, and we talked about this is a season where God may be having you in a season where you're healing from some past hurt. So you don't need to rush into a relationship, because it will not only be bad for you, it will be bad for them. Because if you haven't healed from some prior hurt, you're only going to bring that into a new relationship, and you may come with suspicion, you may come with low self-esteem, you may still come with moments of grief, and so you're going to need somebody to be there to grieve with you, and somebody who's coming into a new relationship maybe doesn't want to have to walk you through that process. Does this make sense? So you need to take the time off so that you can get whole, so that you can be healed, and so that you can be restored. And when you spend that time with God, he does that. He renews you. He revives you. He restores your soul. So sometime God will have you in a season of healing, because remember when God cuts Adam, he cuts Adam and he allows Adam to sleep before he introduces him to Eve, because what Adam had just been through was surgery. Some of us have had a piece of us taken out of us, so we need to kind of heal. before God introduces us to someone new. Having said that, Ruth comes into Bethlehem. When she does, she has no idea that Boaz is the owner of the field she's gleaning in. Boaz happens to come out and he sees her. And she just so happened to be a single young lady who was not only in need of a new relationship, she was in need of literal covering. During this time, widows had it the worst. Widows, if they did not have any male in their family, a son, a husband, or a man to take care of them, they were forced to fend for themselves. Many widows were forced to be beggars. So she needed a man in one sense because she needed a covering. She needed protection. She needed a priest. She needed a provider. And God had it set up for her to bump into Boaz. Her and Boaz begin a love affair. And I fast forwarded just a little bit. When Boaz sees her, he tells his men, I like her style. I like her work ethic. She's a beautiful woman. Here's what I want her to do. I want you all to make sure that she gets everything that she needs. You know what? It's love in verses. Let me tell y'all, a verse came to my mind. Whatever you want, girl, you know I will supply. Whatever you need, girl, call 632-2135. I tried to reach that high note. I didn't catch it. But anyway, y'all get the drift. He sees her and says, I want you all to take care of her, and I want you all to make sure she gets everything she needs. They sit down and have a meal. Now, this is where Naomi comes in. Naomi, who had been bitter, Mara, she says, hold on, wait a minute, girl. Let me show you. Do you know who Boaz is? Boaz owns all of this. Boaz is not married. Girl, look, you got a catch on your hands. Let me tell you how to get him. This is why you need the right people in your corner to coach you. You need the right people in your corner to coach you. Can I veer off for a minute? Because even though we're dealing with love and verses, the right person at the right season in your life can change your destiny. The right mentor, the right pastor, the right coach, the right person in your life at a season to direct you. You got a hand. You know, let me give this to y'all. My children like to play Uno and cards, and sometimes they'll have stuff in their hand and they don't know what they have in their hand. Have you ever been watching a card game and the person doesn't know what they have in their hand, and so you have to coach them, put that down, or do this, or don't do that. And you coach them and help them win. That's what all of us need in our lives. At pivotal moments in our life, we need people who pull the best out of us. Now, let me tell you this. Sometimes your mentors, your pastors and leaders are not going to always tell you what you want to hear. I want to give this to you. When something is being ironed out, there's heat and there's pressure applied to that material, okay? When a mentor or a leader is applying pressure or heat to you, it may not feel good, but they're going to get you straight. I'm going to come back to that. There's some meat all over that plate. I'm going to deal with that tomorrow in my Facebook Live. Make sure you tune in to Facebook Live for prayer and devotion. I'm going to deal with that because mentors are meant to help you maximize the moment. Somebody write that down. Mentors are meant to help you maximize the moment. So Naomi says, let me tell you what to do. She says, keep gleaning grain and you keep dating him. You kind of get a feel for him, see where he's at. And they were doing this for 90 days. So 90 days, she's going out gleaning grain in Boaz's field, bringing the food back to Naomi. Naomi, what'd he say, girl? Tell me what he said. Here, sit down. Spread it out. Okay, then who said what? Then what'd he say? How did he look at you? Now, who was around when he said that? You know how women do. Y'all know how women like to sit around and talk. And she's coaching her, and finally she tells her, listen, in chapter 3, she says, let me tell you something. Boaz wants you, but he is kind of moving slow. Because y'all know sometime, ladies, I want you to get this. A man will take his time until you show him or nudge him where you want it to go. I want to talk to a young lady. Sometimes young ladies spend too much time in a dating moment with a man, and you really need to set some guidelines, and you need to set some ultimatums, and you need to let him know where you stand. And Ruth does that. So she's dating him for a while, and Naomi says, listen, you need to ask him, where is this going? I mean, because You can do bad all by yourself. You're too old and mature to just have a boyfriend. You need to have a commitment. You need a covering. And so she tells her, go down to where Boaz is, catch him while he is well fed and he's resting, and you ask him the question, does he want to take this to another level? Ladies, this is where this is something very unique in the scripture. I have 2 daughters, and I'm big on a man should do the proposing. A man should do the courting. Well, in this case, Boaz pursues, but Ruth proposes. Write this down. Boaz inquires, but Ruth takes the initiative to nudge him and ask him the question, do you want to marry me? Because I see that you're single, I'm single, I want to know where is this going to go. And when Boaz hears that, he's older than Ruth. Now here's what's interesting. Boaz is older than Ruth. He's of a different culture. Can I give this to you? Sometime the package God has for you may not arrive in the covering or the packaging that you expected it to, but does it have the content you're looking for? Sometime you order something from Amazon and you're looking for a box to come a certain shape or a certain size or a certain color, and it may come and have the contents of what you ordered, what you were looking for, and if you're not careful, you'll miss it. So Boaz is older than her. Never did she probably think she would get in a relationship with a man who's of a different cultural background, a different age, and a different social status and background. So you want to keep your ears and your eyes open to who God has for you, and you need the right people at the right time to coach you. Listen, I just want to give you enough to chew on because there's more I'm going to share next week. But the main nuggets I want you to extrapolate is this. If you are in a relationship with someone, you want to make sure you let it known what it is you're looking for to come out of that relationship. I've seen too many young women be strung along for years with live-in boyfriends that don't make a commitment to them. And I've seen women, now this is going to hurt somebody's feelings. I've seen women have 2 or 3 babies with a man and the man not commit to them. Then he packs up and marries somebody else. I want to say this. And sisters, some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Because just because a man will lay with you doesn't mean he loves you. Men as well. Just because she gave you some don't mean she's that into you. There are strings attached, so make sure that when you get into a relationship with someone, you let them know what you're looking for, and you need to know what you're looking for. So the takeaways out of this session I want you to get, that is, put God first, let God lead you, get a good solid mentor and the right people around you to coach you in the moment. Make sure you heal of any hurt that you've had, and make sure when you do begin a new relationship, you let it be known. This is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for somebody to go to the movies with. I'm not just looking for somebody to go to the park with. I can do that by myself. I'm at an age, I'm at a stage where I'm looking for companionship. Now, I want to say this. Be careful when you do that. Don't necessarily say that on the first date. Take your time and get a feel for a person and see where it goes, because you don't want to come off desperate. I want you to write that down. Do not come off desperate, because when you're desperate, you make dumb decisions. Don't get desperate because you'll make dumb decisions. Trust in God. Seek Him first. He'll lead you to what He has for you. Listen, I want you to tune in next week because it gets richer. Don't miss the grand finale of Ruth and see where it's going the next 2 sessions. Listen, this is Pastor Ken Sullivan Jr. I want you, make sure you get my book, Love and Verses. I promise you, it's going to bless you. It's blessing so many people. Make sure you get a copy for somebody else. All right, deuces. I'll see y'all soon.